Got another one, another up and coming legend in the building, man. Got Shuler King in here, about to hit the city in Atlanta. So make sure that y'all stay tapped in on his website, Instagram. Y'all probably already on his social media. You got millions of folks already tapped in there, but he's always in the city, making people laugh their ass off. So we're gonna make sure that we chop it up with him, get a little background, and talk about where things are going. Without further ado, let me hit this hype button for him. Straight out of Sumter,
What
Shuler
up?
King in the building. What up, bro?
What's going on with you, man? Something South Carolina ain't definitely in the building. But hey, listen, man, you know what I mean? I'm a Carolina boy, but I
Mm-hmm.
stayed in Atlanta for a good little while, man. I stayed in Atlanta for probably about maybe 7, 8 years, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and got a lot of love in Atlanta, man. You know, so I got a lot of good roots in Atlanta. Had a lot of good times in Atlanta that I ain't never,
Haven't we all?
you know what I mean? No Diddy parties, but I had
No
some
beauty
good times,
parties.
man. Yeah, man. So, what's going on?
Well, let's talk about it. You probably got one of the most diverse career paths anyone's ever seen. I thought
Yeah.
I was like split because I do radio, right? Hip hop station. And when I go off, I'm raising chickens. I got a farm, right?
Hey, man, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
definitely taught me. you get, you get speaking no Diddy when I say that, but you definitely, man, you funeral director,
Yeah.
embalmer,
Yeah.
comedian.
That's
They
right.
say a lot of the best comedians that I follow. I like comedy. I'm a comedy connoisseur, if I may.
Yeah.
And it comes from a dark place, but we got to definitely talk about that. But first, let's talk about growing up in something, man. What was that like? And you're coming from a family that's ingrained in the funeral home business.
Man, believe it or not, man, even though, my family been in business for a long time, man, Williams Funeral Home, North Main, 821 North Main Street, Sumter, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We still somehow end up grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that prestige, man, but we still grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? But you appreciate it because there's certain things that you'll see in the hood, you're going to learn in the hood that just you're not going to learn nowhere else. You're not going to learn in the sheltered, environment. But, so uh, I was born and raised there, you know what I mean? Went to public school like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And the only difference was, my grandparents, they ran a funeral home. My father was there working. My father and my mother actually come from funeral home families. My mother's father had Lewis Funeral Home in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So, I grew up seeing dead people. I grew up, washing limousines and get when I got older, we were picking up bodies. You know what I mean? When somebody passed away, we had to go
Mm-hmm.
pick up the body 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and then go to school that next morning. You know what I mean? It was a normal thing for us. We never, we never got hired. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we was always, you the grandchild, so you got to do it.
You doing it. That's it. It
Doing
wasn't no
doing
choice. You doing it. That's what you're doing. That's
it.
how it was me visiting my granddad. Like his father was a pastor, and then he took care of everybody. And my granddad took care of everybody, right? So
Yeah.
whatever he was going to do, I was going to do it too. It wasn't. I totally understand what you're saying. We're going to cut cousin Almeida grass. I don't even know this lady. I don't even know if we related for real, but that's what we doing.
That's what we doing. That's what we
Yeah,
doing.
cool. We doing a fish fry at the church. Grab the bucket of grease. That's what we doing.
That's what we doing. That's what we doing. So you know what I mean. When the very first thing that me and my brother learned how to do was be able to match the sales cards with the caskets. You know what I'm saying? So the sales card had a description of the casket. We had to figure out what that description was, and we match it with the casket. We learned how to dress bodies. You know what I mean? And my father, my mother, my sister, all went to Gupton Jones Mortuary College, which is right there in Atlanta. I went
Mhm.
to graduated from Gupton Jones in Atlanta. So you know what I mean, it's a legacy, man. We gonna keep pushing it. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I used to live in East Point. So when I first moved to the A, man, I was in Norcross, and I know people love to say that ain't Atlanta. So I was living in East
Close
Point,
enough.
you know, right,
Yeah.
close enough, but I was in East Point, so you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying. So not like right across the bridge from Greenbrier Mall. So
Yeah.
I was in Atlanta for sure.
How did you get to Atlanta? Was that when you decided, okay, I'm taking this comedy thing serious, or you went there for the mortuary school and then you started branching off into other things?
Well, I as far as the comedy is concerned, man, I started doing comedy in '04, man. I was a freshman in college.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I was a freshman in college, started doing comedy in '04. So I had always been, just, doing it all along. Got out of college, still doing it. Still, I had to travel everywhere I went. My first move, as far as the comedy was concerned, was I went to California. I didn't have to
Hmm.
go. I decided to go.
Yeah,
Uh, I drove from Sumter, South Carolina to, San Diego, California. I had a cousin who was in the military who was
bro,
out.
that is not a close trip at all. Like not even the regular part of California. You went over and then up another 8 hours.
Right. I didn't have enough money to catch a flight. I had a
Mm,
car, so I was like, hey, I gotta drive. So I'm driving, you know what I mean? I stayed out in California for about 9 months, man, just driving to LA, doing the rooms out there, getting to know people. A lot of people that are popping now, I was rubbing shoulders with years ago. It's great to see them, to see all of us elevate. So one person that I'm real proud of is London Brown.
mm.
He's on Raising Canaan.
Yeah,
He's Canaan's uncle. You know what I'm saying? So, back people a lot of people don't even know he's a comedian, but back in the day we was running around in the same circles making folks laugh, man. So, then I came back from California because I ran out of money. And I I ain't doing the homeless thing. So
right.
out of money, came back, you know what I mean? I came by the time I came back home, man, I had $12 in a broke phone.
But
Uh,
you made it.
I made it, man.
You made it.
Made it, man. My car was faded. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it's so hot. Like I was driving through Arizona and New Mexico, and it's so hot out there. The engine was hot and the sun
Mhm.
was hot, so my paint started to fade.
Dang.
Yeah, man. So I made it back home. I made it back home, man. And I went to mortuary school in 2012, graduated in 2013, and I had an opportunity, believe it or not. Like I was always working at the funeral home and doing my thing, but I really needed to. Yeah, I really had to want to get in a better city to pursue
Mhm.
comedy. So I was like, just praying and trying to get that together. Next thing you know, my partner hit me and was like, "Hey man, you know, they hiring at the Waffle House." And I
Why not?
hey, Waffle Houses in Atlanta, you know what I mean? They hiring. Hey man, let me go on and see what this is about, man. So
Mhm.
my thing was I knew I needed to be in a different city. I couldn't pursue comedy correctly, you know what I'm saying, from my hometown. I needed to be in a bigger city where I could rub shoulders with the right people and things are going on. Plus, I got a little job, so I got a little money, I'd be able to sustain myself. So, I was working at a few locations, but I was training mainly out of the Waffle House in Brookhaven. Right
Okay.
there on oh man, what's the name of the I think it's Highway 440 141
Yeah, one for yeah.
Peachtree
Uh-huh.
Industrial that leads right into Brookhaven, man. Before you get to Buckhead, that's where I was. You know,
That's what's up, man. That's what I'm talking about. When you talk about the grind, I love these stories because it's
yeah,
so many people that want to get to where they're going, but they stop and they quit. And like you said, you at rub shoulders with so many people out in LA that's popping off now. They getting their just do now. People just not seeing them. It didn't just happen overnight. The
yeah.
folks that stay successful are the ones that don't quit and stay consistent.
That's all you got to do, man. I mean, it ain't the easiest thing to do. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Man, I was at the Waffle House messing up everybody food.
But
I,
see, as a comedian, you know how to make it funny after you give them their food, and hopefully they won't turn the table over. And
bro, let me I tell you, I was that funeral director was showing up because I was creating everybody baking. They was sending orders back. I was messing. I mean, I was horrible, at, but I was just grinding, man. You know what I mean? And you know, I left there and started embalming at a corporate funeral home, and I got fired from there because I was the only person of my hue.
right,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We ain't got to get into that. and you know, that's another story for another time. And then
Mhm.
once I left there in December of December 21st, my brother's birthday of 2015. I never, I just said, man, I'm not gonna get another job, man. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go ahead and just do this comedy thing, man. I felt like when I left that last job, man, I felt so good. You know how sometimes people
Mhm.
lose their job, man, they be crying, depressed, and stuff. Man, I felt so good because I knew God was saying, "This is it." You know, what I
Yeah.
mean? This ain't no room for none of that no more. You know what I mean? It's time for you to really do what you got to do, and now we here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's amazing that you can handle your family business as well as be able to have the flexibility to hit the road and just keep people rolling and living your dream and your purpose at the same time.
I credit all that to God, man. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have a good family. I wouldn't have a great wife. You know what I mean? My wife helps me keep things in line as far as the family business. My mother and my sister are
Mhm.
there, you know what I mean, in my place while I'm gone. You know, I'm still coming in and still giving instructions and all that other stuff. But, you know, like it was, I trained under my father. My father passed in 22, and I inherited his shares in the business. So,
Mhm.
you know, my family steps in because I'm not physically there, you know what I'm saying? But they make sure my presence is still felt, not just in the business, but in the community, you know what I mean? And,
Mhm.
you know, I've been blessed, you know, have a few things and diversify, you know, not just with the comedy. You know, shout out to Big Dave's Cheesesteaks out of Atlanta. You know,
Mhm.
myself, my business partner Mark Brown, we signed on to do 5 locations in South Carolina. You
Yeah.
know, so, you know, we got some other things going on too, man. And it's a beautiful situation, man. So I went from $12 in a broke Blackberry Storm to, you know what I'm saying, to being able to do my thing, man. And I you know, that's all God, man. That's all God, you know.
Much is given and much is due, and you definitely doing it. You keeping people laughing. What I really appreciate is your ability to take that internet right and branch out. I've seen others do it too with Desi and DC,
Hmm.
Wayne, and you take a different approach, which is appreciative. I don't go to CNN and get my news. I wait for you to say, "Ladies and gentlemen," and as soon as I hear that, I know I'm about to get the evening scoop of what's going on and what I need to be tapped in with.
Yeah, man. Well, shout out to them brothers you just mentioned, man. Desi Banks is like that's my brother, man. We me and Desi actually met in Atlanta, of course.
Mm.
We had the same acting coach. Shout out to Dwayne Boyd. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Wayne Boy.
Yeah, fam for life, man. I ain't talked to him in a minute, but you know what I'm saying. I'm still down with you, bro. You know what I'm saying. So you know, me and Desi switched places. Desi was doing the skits, and I was
Hmm.
stand up, and we used to talk all the time. And he was talking about how much he wanted to get into stand up. And I was talking about how much I wanted to do skits, and we did a few skits together. Um, Next thing you know, he was doing stand up, and I started, you know, making my presence felt on the internet, and you know,
Right.
proud of both of where you know where we can. Because I was, you know, I'm like I always call myself a young dinosaur, you know, because I'm not old, but at the same time, you know, I've been doing comedy 20 years. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Right.
so, you know, so I started doing comedy before the internet was ever a thing. Before there was no such thing as a social media sensation. You know,
Yeah.
there was barely such thing as social media. You know what I mean? So
Now you ready facts because when I
yeah,
met Dizzy, it was the same situation. I was just getting into the radio. I was coming out of doing music, just getting into the radio thing. We met through an artist, and we was out giving out food to people, and that's how we met. We did a couple of skits together, and
yeah.
then that's kind of how it went. That you know what I'm saying? Everybody is like one person away from that person. I think the first time I bumped into you, we was had the same agent
Oh man,
in
he.
Atlanta. I think it was Gil Talent.
Oh wow, was it get? Oh, you know what? Man, look, we had to talk about that off record. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I've switched agencies since I was with Gersh, and now
Yeah.
I switched over to William Morris. But yeah, man. Yeah, but it's been great, man. And the crazy thing about it is, I feel like even though I've been 20 years in doing stand up and social media and all that stuff, man, I just keep getting this feeling that we barely scratched the surface. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
People are always just catching up, even though you got millions of people behind you. You
yeah,
still got people just catching up. You hitting comedy clubs, people seeing your set for the first time.
yeah.
It had to be amazing to have Bernie Mac's wife say, "You the next up, you the one."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was cool because people always told me that, I reminded them of Bernie, and I was never trying to talk like Bernie or nothing like
Right,
that.
you just being you.
Yeah, just me being me reminded them of Bernie Mac somehow, some way, and that was, what I mean. I always took that as a great compliment. But for his wife to say, she walked up to me. Well, we were at their event. We were at the an event for the Bernie Mac Foundation. Bringing awareness to sarcoidosis, the disease that he succumbed to,
Right.
and she walked up to me after I got off stage, and she said that she had laughed that hard since he passed.
Mm,
And that meant the world to her. And when she said it, what I mean? Like, it caught me off guard. So, I was just happy to meet him. But she said,
mhm.
I haven't laughed that hard since you passed. And I looked at her and I said, I need you to say that one more time.
Right, just like that
Just
on
the way
camera.
you said, say it one more
Action.
time. Yeah, I'm like, baby, get the camera. I told my wife, that's why you hear my wife in the beginning of this. She like, okay, I got it. I'm like, yeah, I need you to say that
Yeah, I
one
need
more
it.
time.
That's how
you
you
know,
know she was the one.
yeah. So nobody can argue with me on none of that. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? But now it's been a great journey, man. And I appreciate, everybody, any and everybody. I don't care if the crowd has been 10 people, 1,000, it doesn't matter, man. I appreciate anybody who will spend their money, to come out and see me, or just even, to stop and take a picture, or just give me a little moment to say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, they appreciate me when they see me in the street, but I definitely appreciate, everybody who stop to show me any kind of love, because everybody has their own problems. People have kids, they got bills, they got all this stuff going on. And for them to, take a moment and say, hey man, I appreciate what you do, it means the world to me.
I see the growth on stage and online. Like you said, you've been 20 years on
Hmm.
stage, right?
Hmm.
That consistency, I know a lot of comedians say, I gotta get my reps in, I gotta do what I gotta do, I get my reps in. I'm hitting these different crowds, different stages. But I see you kind of like take that same approach with your social media and posting and pushing. You do a
Yeah,
lot of posting. How has that worked out for you though?
man, listen, I'm a workaholic. I ain't even lie to you. My wife would be the first one to tell you I'm a workaholic, man. I like to stay busy. I like to stay grinding. You know what I mean? And the social media business is the what have you done for me lately?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, you know, with how I started posting like that, man, it was I kind of took a Nino Brown approach to it. Like I told you, I grew up in the hood, so it's certain
Right.
I learned. You know what I'm saying? If you like, man, look here,
I'm gonna give
flood
you
the
some
streets.
testers and then I'm gonna
Flood
get
it.
away with you. Oh, you like that one?
Oh yeah, we gonna flood the streets. You know what I'm saying?
He
I'm
came
like,
back with the bass.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We don't want nothing on consignment. Give me 10 of
Hmm.
the birds and we gonna be right back.
Hmm.
That's kind of how, the mentality. I mean, business all business tactics is the same thing. When you have something that works, you just keep doing it. You know what I mean? Don't make a change. People enjoy it. So I just kept doubling up, and now, we're just doing more and more. Now people are enjoying my new podcast now.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that,
Oh,
man. I love the way it's set up. I love the look. I also love who you're talking to. You're talking to people that you came up with, have actual relationships and carry conversations with that other people need to see.
yeah, 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 absolutely. That was one of the things, man. So, to laugh at death is my new podcast. What the purpose of it, the premise of it is for us to, share stories and funny memories about people who passed away. You know what I mean? And I felt like I was the only person in the industry that would be able to introduce that uh, particular style of comedy. You know what I mean? I felt like it was just like me being like I'm the most famous funeral director in the world.
I
So
think so.
yeah, yeah,
I think so.
yeah, that's right. That's right. When people don't think about it until you know what I mean, until I actually say it, they be like, "Wait a minute, you actually are the most
Yeah.
popular
Cause I
funeral."
think that's those people too. Cause you like a funeral director, comedian, and they're like, hey, I see he got all the suits with the chain across the tie, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if he really is in the
Oh,
funeral game.
and we can get into that. So I'll tell you about the podcast, and then I'm gonna tell you about the tux thing, right? So
Yeah.
so the podcast, man, I we've been just interviewing a lot of comedians, a lot of friends of mine, radio personalities, whoever, and you share stories about people that you've known and loved throughout the years, whether it's
Mhm.
mama, daddy, sister, cousin, brother, coworker, homeboy, whoever, you know what I mean. But what we're doing is honoring the ones we've lost through humor. You know,
Mhm.
and it's the same thing we do at our family reunions and get-togethers, and it's the same thing when we sit down and you know what I mean. You may have a little drink or whatever, and we sit on the back porch and be, man, you remember when you know what I'm saying when Al, you know what I mean, went down there and cussed out I mean, just all you know what I mean, because everybody has unique stories, and I feel like people are bigger than how they died.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yes.
you're defined about how you live, no matter how somebody passed away. How you live was bigger than that, and whatever kind of personality there was. There's people out there who've had parents that unlike anybody else. You know what I mean? One of my homegirls, we just did her interview, and she said her daddy was the weed man.
Right.
I'm saying but he never got arrested. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Got arrested, never got in no trouble. He always had money. He took care of his kids. I mean, how his relationship was with women. I mean, so many different things. You know what I mean? Like I could talk. My father wasn't nothing like that. You know.
Mhm.
And but her daddy was the weed man, and he was a great dude. Like the way she talked about him, I
Mhm.
wanted to meet him. You know,
Right.
I'm like, man, your daddy seemed like the coolest man on earth. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's so many different things. I mean, to touch on my boy Marvin Hunter, another great comedian, came through, did his interview. He talked about his father, who was a civil rights legend down in Mississippi, and his
Mhm.
father, he said it was the only person that he knew that got suspended from the civil rights movement. You know,
Yeah, but
you
we
see-
won't get those stories without that podcast. And there's something that needs to be heard and spread and shared.
Exactly. And I just feel like in this, current world we live in, like I feel like a lot of great stories and a lot of great information is being lost. Like
Mhm.
doing away with, a lot of the people from our past, what I mean, we're not honoring them. At least I don't think so. And we should be because we standing on their shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
where would you be without the Tom Joiners and the J. Anthony Browns and all the other radio personalities because we all borrow from them. You know what I mean? We all take something we see. We get inspired by people who do what we do and do it great. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. How has being around so much of that death inspire your life? Because some people may get it confused that they might think that it could be almost like a depressing, a toxic environment, but a lot of times you can feed off of, like you just said, the stories from the families or the legacy of the person that's been left behind.
Nah, you learn a lot about life when you see when you see people how people respond to you passing away.
Hmm.
I'm saying you learn a lot about life. You I've seen funerals with people nobody showed up.
Man,
Yeah,
that's tough. That's got to be tough. If you looking down, well, you probably looking up. If ain't nobody show up, you looking up at your funeral, ain't nobody there.
I mean, there's cases nobody showed up, and then there's cases where the church can't even hold how many
Yeah,
people showed up, and
that was my grandma's funeral. It was people outside, like literally people outside, all the
yeah,
way into the lawn. It was folks downstairs where they was making the food for the repast. The church was full. It was a beautiful thing to see, even though it was time of sadness. But you could see how she impacted everybody. And the
right.
same thing happened with my granddad when he passed last year. It was the
Down,
same.
but you see how that story started flowing from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How old was your grandmother when she passed?
She was probably 80, 81.
So that
Mm-hmm.
right there, you know what I mean? I wasn't, of course, I didn't know your grandmother, but
Mm-hmm.
for a woman to be 81 and to say, uh, that the church was packed and it was standing room only, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that your grandmother was a phenomenal person and she touched a lot of lives. And I say that because if you're 81 years old, most of the people that you came
Mm-hmm.
with are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
See
And
what
it
I'm
wasn't nobody in there her
Yeah,
age besides my granddaddy, you know?
yeah, yeah. Most of the people her age in her generation, they gone. But
Mm-hmm.
that means she had a personality that transcended age and and passed down through generations. So she really had something about her, and your grandfather as well had something. They had something about them that that was that they were servants. You
Right.
know, they
Right.
I don't know what they did, but I know that they had to have been servants of God's people in order to reach that many people. You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of stories that need to be honored. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you even saying that. And I love when people are honored and given their just due. I saw that you posted that your father was honored, postmates honored, and they gave him his flowers too. And that's got
Yeah.
to be feel good for you too, to know that the impact that he made passed down to you and your siblings and his family and left their legacy, and other people are recognizing it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And and there's a lot of stories I can tell about my father. I can't say them on here.
Well, they got to tune into the podcast because I
Yeah.
heard the pigeon story and I was laughing. So I need other folks to tune in and tap into the podcast. That boy said, oh,
Yo,
shit.
I was bro. That's
I
real.
almost died, dog.
Bro, I wasn't exaggerating that at all, bro. I was trying to skyhook the pigeon because I thought the pigeon had died, and people be thinking that the pigeon is their mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So the pigeon supposed to fly. I'm like, bro, I'm finna skyhook the hell out this pigeon in a minute, bro. This land in the kitchen. Cause I sure ain't trying to have these people see this daggone bird and die in my hands. You know what I'm saying?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you about the suits though, because you asked about you said something about the suits.
Let's
So
talk about it. Because all the
sure.
comedians in the late 80s, early 90s, early 2000s wore suits. I said that man had the job already lined up to have all the suits for
Hey,
comedy.
and so this is the thing about it, man. When I started doing comedy, man, I didn't have the money to really have, pick out a wardrobe. I know that sounds crazy, but I ain't had a bread like that, man. So what I did was the suit was an investment for me. If you go back to some of my old videos, old stand-up videos, man, you'll see me in a in a tuxedo. I always wore tuxes, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
a
yeah.
black tuxedo, white shirt, something like that. So I probably had two or three or four white shirts and the black tuxedo, you know what I'm saying? My suits have improved over the years. I
It's a
thought
little
I
different. That's
thought
a
I
different
was
tax
cold.
bracket now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I thought I looked good back in the day, which I was all right, but you know what I mean? I used to have to it was a linen polyester blend, man.
Right.
And some of them was just straight polyester, man. You know what I mean? Couldn't put no heat to it.
There
So
you go.
it turned
Hope
into
it don't get wrinkled up.
the whole suit turned into a rubber band if you put some heat to it. So you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's what I did that because I mean I was super young, man,
Mhm.
and none of the comics my age was dressing like that. You know,
Right.
so I was like, all right, cool. I'll be able to stand out. I'll be different. I'll be noticeable. So I stuck with it, man. It became like my signature. So now I can't wear nothing else.
It fits so good because what you say, like I'm comedian slash funeral director, so it makes a whole lot of sense. Next thing you gotta do is you gotta pull up to the shows in the hearse. I don't know if we're doing too much with that or what.
I don't know if we doing that. I don't know if we doing that, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm gonna come up with something, man. You know what I'm saying? I may maybe probably hand out little bottles of embalming fluid or something at the show. So I don't know, man.
Not embalming fluid. You gonna
Yeah,
have those folks toe up.
yeah, just in case. You know what I mean? You gonna use it sooner or later. So just
Right,
go.
I'm literally killing them tonight.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I knock them dead.
Literally. And after that, I can take care of all the services too.
Yeah, slip a business card in their pocket so when their family find them, nah, just
Yeah, that's wild. What do you say if you could go back to that Shuler King that just got back from California. You at the Waffle House now. You about to get into this comedy thing all the way. You in Atlanta trying to figure this thing out. What do you go back and tell him if you can give him a couple of words of advice or wisdom? Besides, don't burn the food so much.
Man, I would tell him invest in Tesla and Bitcoin. That's what I tell his ass.
Don't come back and tell me that too, bro. I lost 2 Bitcoin. Like I lost the little thing I had it on, the computer I had it on, and didn't even think about it because it wasn't nothing to me when I had it. I'm sick now every time I think about it.
No, that computer somewhere, man. It could be brought back to life. Don't you worry about that, man. It's in there somewhere.
I'm gonna pray on
it. Yeah. Talk to the Lord. He'll fix it. No, that's what I tell him. I know a lot of words of wisdom. Shoot, that's what I would say. Invest in Tesla, Bitcoin, Apple. You know what I mean? You know, get what your broke ass need to do. Go buy Bitcoin. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? Trust me, you know what I mean? Buy what Bitcoin was back in 2011 was what?
It was like $10. It wasn't even that. I don't even think it was that much.
Yeah, it wasn't. So
it was down there free. It was less than $1, less than a cent actually. Yeah.
Take your whole check.
Buy 10 million of.
Buy all that. And just wait on 2020 to come around the corner. That's what I tell them. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, other than that, man, you know, other than that, honestly, I wouldn't tell myself nothing because I wouldn't change anything right now. I wouldn't change the journey. I wouldn't change the lessons. You know, ain't no point in me trying to, you know, give my old self some insight on it. You know what I mean? How I learned everything and what I went through. And, you know, I wouldn't even give myself any type of reassurance. I wouldn't say to him, oh, it's going to happen. I wouldn't even say that because,
you know, hungry.
Yeah. I don't want you to know what's going to happen. Stay hungry. Keep working. Develop that work ethic. Develop that consistency. You know what I mean? Because it ain't
what you know what you got now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because that me not knowing, just being able to step out on faith and not knowing what God's plan was, and just knowing that, hey, it's really on you. You can pray, but you got to hustle. You got to work, and that's what made, you know, turn me into a dog about it. You know what I'm saying? To where you just got to go get it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that, man. Trusting the unknown if you got the faith to see it through.
You got to. I'm only here by God's grace, man. That's real.
Amen.
Yeah.
My brother, appreciate you. Anytime you come to Atlanta, this is an open seat for you. You can come on and talk about what you got coming up. Fill the people in on what's popping. We're going to keep sharing your stuff and keep people tapped in on what you're doing. And y'all check out the podcast. It's funny and informative, and I love the stories coming out of there.
Hey, hold on real quick, though, man. I see you got my boy shirt on, man. Lotto, man. I see you.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Lotto, man. Straight Lotto. Yeah. That's my guy, man.
Dude.
Yeah.
My dude, man. Shout out to him. Good people, man.
Yeah, anytime I'm hosting a big event, I hit Lotto like, man, I'm on the stage. I'm 20,000 or 10,000, and bro, I need something new. He'll pull up on me, pull up right to the crib, right to the farm.
That's right. I pulled up on him, and he did a I don't know, it was a pop-up shop type thing in his hometown in Cincinnati. I was close by. I can't remember which city I was in. I might have been in Dayton or whatever, but I hit him up and I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna pull up on you. Man, we hopped in the car that morning. I got down there and just spent some money with him, man. Yeah. He usually give me something for free, but you know, people were standing around looking. I'm like, nah, this y'all boy. We coming to spend some money, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely the move. He's a good dude, great dude, not good dude, great dude. And they international now. I seen him post something. They got stuff cross seas out in Houston, everywhere. So he's really popping.
Yeah, man. Good dude, man.
Triple OG. Appreciate you, man. Shuler King in the building.
Hey, bro. I'm in here, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
For sure. All right, we gone. Get back to this music.
Yeah, man.
It's time to see who's with Reec.
Hey. Yeah. Who you with? Wendy Williams is in here.